Michael Rubin CNBC interview. And here we go. Let me view the requests. And about to have our very special guest. Patrick.
Ken, how are you?
I'm doing good. How you doing?
Very good. Very good. Good to be on with you.
Glad to be on with you. For those of you in the hobby, a clip went viral last week. A clip went viral last week, and it was you on, or maybe a few days ago, on the Joe Rogan show.
Yes.
And you became an instant hobby hero. An instant hobby hero. Because he obviously is one of the most followed podcasts in the world. And you changed the conversation to trading cards.
Yes.
And you told him what was going on. You told him he was missing out. You told him this is a whole new world. It's a whole new world of collectors. It's a whole new world of alternative investing. So I immediately texted you and said, hey, can we come talk about this and talk about the industry on Thursday? And you graciously said yes, and here we are. Is that my connection or yours? Hold on. Let's see what we got here. Okay. I'm here. Did I break up for a second?
Can you see me or no? Is it good now?
Yeah,
okay,
I can.
fantastic.
Your connection or mine? Okay, cool. So
let me maybe go on
do
the other
favor.
side.
Okay.
Go for it. I'm listening to you.
Okay. So what I wanted to do was give you an opportunity, give everybody, like my viewers an opportunity to know who you are, because I knew who you were because we had spoken previously, and I know some of the things you collect. But I wanted everyone to hear your story because you are legitimately, without kissing your butt, you are legitimately an American dream, an American success story, immigrant, and built up your empire. So give us your background and then tell us how you started collecting cards.
Absolutely. Born and raised in Iran. I lived there 10 years. 6 weeks after Khomeini died, we went to Germany. I lived at a refugee camp in Germany for a couple of years, and we came to the States. We landed in Glendale, California. It's mandatory if you're Armenian to go to Glendale. And I lived there for 6 years. 6 years after being in Glendale, I joined the U.S. Army. I went to the Army. I was at the 101st Airborne. I got out, and I wanted to be a bodybuilder. I wanted to be Mr. Olympia. That's all I dreamt about doing. I went to a Mr. Olympia show. At that show, it was bodybuilding, and I hung out with a lot of. I was going to Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. On Monday, I got my offer at Morgan Stanley Dean Witter. I went and started working with Morgan Stanley Dean Witter a day before 9/11. Then been in the industry for 20 years. October of 2009, started our own insurance company, grew it from one office to 150 offices nationwide. We have somewhere around 15, 16,000 agents. And then I started dabbling on creating content, and it led to, a channel and a few billion views online, and doing some random interviews with, different types of people, from Kobe's, from President Bush, from, CIA agent, FBI agents, doctors, mobsters, you name them. I've sat down with a lot of them. But during the entire time, I've had a fascination with cards. Cards is a very interesting thing, from being in Germany, and when Germany won the World Cup, the first experience with a card was in Germany. It was the German team. I was 10, 11 years old. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is such a cool card to have. And then you come to the States, and, 1990, 1991. So 1990 was what? The David Robinson, the David Robinson.
You're a little choppy, by the way.
Say that again?
I said you're a little choppy, just,
Yeah.
Choppy.
The Derek Coleman card, all those guys that were coming up, the Shaqs, the Gary Paytons, the Kendall Gills, like that was my first experience with baseball cards, and then Sergei Fedorov rookie card. And I fell in love with it. And, for 30 years, it's been a desire of mine to get into it. And then at this point, it's obviously at a different level. But, watching you doing what you're doing, I was telling a few guys the other day, I said, probably the person that's the loudest person in the world right now, getting people to get involved in a business, it's you. I don't know if there's a bigger crusader or somebody that's screaming off the top of their lungs saying, this thing is real. You guys got to look at this as a potential investment opportunity. Not telling you you're going to make millions, but you may want to consider as a possibility. Yep. And I think more people are starting to listen from different industries.
Yep. No, I appreciate that. I appreciate that. So the market is crazy right now. You've made some amazing purchases. You've made some amazing sales. You were the original, well, not the original seller. You sold the Gretzky at auction the last time it sold both of them, right? You the Topps PSA 10.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
So you sold those. What have you made any recent acquisitions?
Recent acquisitions. I'd say in the last 8 months, I've probably bought $2 million worth of cards.
Okay.
That I picked up. I picked up a Zion 3 out of 5. It's a RPA. It's a real nice Panini. I think I'm trying to see which one it is I got. Anyways, it was a $500,000 card I picked up with Zion about 8 months ago, maybe 9 months ago.
Cool.
Few stuff that I like to go. I'm more of 52 Topps guy. I like the 50s. I like the 60s. I'm in that era. I like baseball cards more. I picked up a few baseball cards there. Willie Mays, you got to kind of bank on Mays because Mays, arguably, some will say is the greatest of all time. He's always in that argument. But yeah, I've made a few. I probably have right now, Ken. You and I spoke. I'm probably in the 6 to 8 range right now. The amount of cards that I have.
Okay.
Is where I'm at. And if you ask me, is there anything I'm looking at picking up right now? I think which one I'm looking at picking up.
Yeah.
I think we've talked about that right there a few times.
Yep.
But my interest is there for a couple big cards is what I'm looking at.
Great. So we were talking yesterday, and I hate getting too into it before the show because it kind of loses the spontaneity. But we were talking about both of our premises on the business. Okay, as far as where we are today, where we were, and where we think we're going. I guess we spoke after the Fanatics deal had been given a $10.4 billion evaluation without ever selling a penny.
Crazy.
Selling a penny. So what do you think that means for everybody who's in this business and everyone who owns products? It's like owning a house that you bought $600,000. It's 3,000 square feet, regular lot, and a house next to yours sells for 1.2. It's exactly like your house a year and a half later. You just made $600,000. People have to realize when the real players, when the real skeptics get into it, that's when you got to kind of realize, not necessarily when people who have money and there were kids collecting cars are like, I want to be able to say I owned the Gretzky rookie card once. I want to be able to say I owned the Kobe card. I want to be able to say I owned the jersey. That's a different ballgame. I'm talking about when skeptics, those guys that were like, what are you guys doing wasting your time with cards? When those types of people get in, when the guys that are, bean counters get in, the accountants, the logical, skeptical guys, and then you see numbers like this with 10.4, anybody that's in the card collecting business, many people are going to be called geniuses because, and you may just be a regular person, but your friends, family are going to say, and by the way, Ken, sometimes we talk about these big cards. You sell the biggest cards, or you're the guy that will sell $50 million worth of cards in a month. But, there's people that bought a $5,000 card that sell it for $22,000. That's unreal for a person. We keep talking bigger cards, but that's insane for 20-year-old kid says, I'm going to go buy this $5,000 card. 2 years later, he sells for $22K. His friends are like, what are you talking about? So, it's I think everybody in the marketplace who is, I do believe the next 2 years, there's going to be a little bit of a hiccup. And it's a normal, and it's got nothing to do with cards. I think that 2 years, the hiccup has got zero to do with cards.
I think the next 2 years has to do with Powell having to increase interest rates.
Yep.
I think it has to do with inflation. I think it has to do with all this money we printed in the last 14 months. 40% plus of the money ever printed in America was printed in the last 12 to 14 months.
That's what's amazing. Say that again. It's an amazing stat.
40% of all the currency ever printed in U.S. history was printed in the last 12 to 14 months. So that's kind of like if 1986 Fleer all of a sudden decides to go out there and put out there to the marketplace 10,000 new boxes. And this is what we're doing. And the Jordans, there's what, 330, 340, then PSA 10. All of a sudden that 330 goes to 3,300. Shit, I mean, that's what they're doing to the currency. So you have to know some of that stuff is going to manipulate the market a little bit, but the dust is going to settle. But the reality of it is this is one thing that's going to win long term. The word I use is non-duplicatable assets. Non-duplicatable assets long term are going to win. And collectible cards are non-duplicatable assets. I was talking to Joe when, you know how Joe and I were talking and the PSA conversation came up? He's like, because back in the days, you remember cards were known for attracting, fraudsters that maybe would reprint or they would do all that stuff. You remember those stories? They would cut the cards and they would do all this stuff. And, sometimes the Honus Wagner gets the criticism a little bit of that. But there's some of the cards that have gone through those stories. But now PSA comes in, BGS comes in, these guys come in, and now we have an Equifax, a TransUnion, an Experian that's not telling the banks what the credit score of an individual is, and we have an organization to trust. So it's a complete different marketplace. I'm long in this asset class. It's interesting we're calling it an asset class now, but it is an asset class.
No, it absolutely is. So I'm flying to, I'll be traveling to California in the coming weeks, and I've got 2 investor dinners. These are not people who invested in my company. These are people who have a net worth anywhere from 50 million to 5 billion. And the purpose is that they want to learn about trading cards and they want to learn about the collectibles because it's new to them and they've never experienced, but you realize that there are major hedge funds out there now that are starting, they've ultimate investment funds and they're allocating a portion to trading cards and sports collectibles. There are mutual funds that are now opening up funds specific. I remember 4 years ago, my friend Tom Fitch was the first one to do this. He did the Modern Wax Fund, I think in like 2018. And can you imagine and they have like 86 Fleer in there at 2018 prices and 2012 Panini Prism Basketball and 2013 Panini Prism Basketball at 2018 prices. But if you bought in then, look at what you have now. So to me, and you can look around and you can see what I've been doing is I've been buying a lot of wax, and this is a portion because I view good wax boxes are kind of like an S&P of the individual year. Like if you get 86 Fleer, you not only have the Jordan rookie, you've got the Akeem rookie, you've got the Isaiah,
you got everybody,
Barkley, Carmelo, you got everybody. You got 96, you've got Kobe, you've got Ray Allen, you've got Allen Iverson. You get to some of the 2000, even 2011 baseball. You've got Trout, you've got Harper. Okay, so if you pick good years, you're getting a breadth of players. And my take on the industry is this. And I'm going to talk about some negative things I see potentially in what's going down in the deals. I'll talk about that a little later. But as I look at all the money that is coming into the business, the reason this money is coming into the business is that they think that we are legitimately in the first inning, not the 6th, not the 7th, not even the 3rd. They think that we are in the first inning. This is Blackstone. Okay, this is Fanatics. This is guys like Cuban and Sherman who invested in my company. Guys like Dan Sunheim and Steve Cohen who invested in my company and Collectors Holdings. These are guys who've been around forever. They say this is the beginning. So let's look at it from this perspective. You could pick any product that is out in the marketplace right now. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's 2020 NT. I don't care if it's 1980 Topps baseball. I don't care if it's 1965 Topps football or it's 2012 basketball, 2003 basketball. If the number of people who won it today is right here in this little circle. And 5 years from now, this circle is this big. What that means is every single thing within the basket is going to go up. Not because somebody did great overnight, just that there's more people who never knew it existed who then want to buy it. And that's why I am very bullish on the marketplace.
Yeah, you and I both. And it's interesting for you. I mean, you're in this world. This is your world. I'm not. I'm simply in the world because, one, I am a fan, and two, I'm a true believer. But you're the expert. I'm one of the voices that is supporting experts like yourself. But to be able to say that those guys are looking at this as the beginning of it, that's a scary thought. But also at the same time, it's not, right? I mean, if you think about basics of math and how different various investments have worked when Bitcoin first came out, there were a lot of people that doubted it. I mean, if you know, people like myself, I was not somebody that sat there and said, hey, crypto's going to do this, crypto's going to do that. And then look what's going on to how many people had to say, I told you so. And a lot of people that went in early, you're seeing crypto millionaires, crypto billionaires all over the place. I mean, I interviewed a guy the other day who, his name is Meta Coven, and he bought Beeple NFT for 69 million bucks, right? So I brought Beeple on board, and I brought him, and I interviewed these guys. And I said, explain to me what's going on with NFTs and what's going on with, you know, what you just bought every day for 69 million. And he's explaining it. He's educating us. Here's what's going on with it, right? And people are sitting on the sidelines saying, what the hell are these guys talking about? And he says, you know, one day we're going to have a virtual, there's going to be an NFT museum. And you're going to come to, in order to see the museum, you're going to have to buy tickets. And when you buy tickets, the last NFT you're going to see is every day. And you have to come through my museum. And some people are sitting there saying, this guy's lost his mind. What are these people talking about? Well, if they don't know what they're talking about, then why are they paying $69 million for an NFT? You think they're just going to pay for it because, and there was 33 people that were bidding, by the way, for that one NFT. It wasn't like it was 2 people. It was 33. You know, if 33 people are bidding for something at that price, all 33 cannot be dummies, if that makes any sense. You know, I understand there can be 1 dummy, there can be 2 dummies, but 33 dummies, it's not 33 dummies. They kind of see what's going on there. So at this point of the game, when you're seeing with the stuff that's going on with cards, the best part about cards right now is the debates. Best part. I mean, the more and more there's debates going on, whether what you should collect. Should you collect rookies? Should you collect this? Should you collect oldies? Should you collect, you know, should you buy wax? Should you buy? It's great because everybody's picking an angle and very few people are going to be wrong. You were saying something yesterday when we spoke, and I got off the phone call with you, and I sat there and I thought about, I was talking to my guys. I said, I've never lost money on a card. And I'm telling you, Ken, I'm telling you, I've never lost money on a card. I've never lost money on a card.
The interesting thing is you talk about other assets, and you can point to one, and it's a T206 Wagner, which of course came out in 1909. If you track, and there's about 50 of them out there, so they're reasonably, and they all have a name. Everyone, I know where 90% of all the Wagners are. So you could track every Wagner. If you look through history, going back to the 1920s, any person who ever bought that sale, there is never a recorded sale where the person buying a card, Honus T206 Honus Wagner, sold that exact same card and did not make money. Now, I don't know any other asset in the world, whether it be a painting, whether it be a stock, whether it be gold. I mean, gold goes up and down, silver goes up and down, NFTs go up and down, Bitcoin goes up and down. Certainly, if you're in it, it's a roller coaster, and that's the calmest of all the cryptos. But the T206 Wagner is the only is one, and another card, you know, it's very similar to it. Is if you look at an ultra high grade 52 Topps Mickey Mantle. I was in this way back when I was a kid. I remember in like 1980 when like the first one sold for like $500, and then like 1982, 3 of them sold for $5,000, and people were going and saying, "This is the top of the market. This is the top of the market."
This is the top of the market.
Yes, exactly. I guarantee you that one of those cards, one of those 3 is probably one of the 3 1952 Topps Mickey Mantles that is now worth tens and tens of millions of dollars.
Wow, you believe that? That one of the
Yeah,
3,500.
they were part of the Rosen find, and they were like amazing.
Got it.
Yeah. They were just incredible. I mean, all those old stories. If I had just purchased and saved, I mean, I owned at one point in time, I owned I didn't own the Wagner, but I personally owned the uncut sheet of the Wagner. With you had Honus Wagner, Mordecai Brown, Cy Young, 5 players on an uncut strip, and it was called a proof, and the back was blank back, and
what did you pay for that? What'd you pay for it?
I paid $66,000 for it back in 2002. So I bought it when the market was down, and somebody offered me $100,000 for it in 2009, which was, as you know, was a crappy economy. And unfortunately, I took it. 3 years later, I opened up Golden Auctions. Had I known, I would have never.
What is that? What is that worth today? By the way, what is that worth today?
I would estimate to say that
today,
that's considering it authentic, is probably worth $2 million. It's probably worth between $3 and $4 million.
Wow. But you know, everybody's got stories like that. Everybody has stories like it. Especially if you're in this game long enough. If you don't have stories like that, you're just lying. You know, if a person doesn't, everybody's got stories. What's the Mickey PSA 10 right now is worth what? 7 million, 8 million, 10 million?
I personally don't think, I know I couldn't buy a 52 Mickey Mantle PSA 10 for 25 million. I know I couldn't do it. So yeah, it's really the three guys own it, and it's kind of, you know, they control the market, and you've got one of them who's very public, Ken Kendrick, you know, basically said he will never sell it. It will go to his kids. You know, he's the owner of the owner of the Diamondbacks. So that's out of the market. That's out of the market forever.
Yeah, I mean that card, it's Tico, Dylan. That card almost has to go to somebody who would appreciate it. That card's got to be always kept with somebody that would appreciate it, because there's something very special about that card. With okay, give me 1 second, Tico, Dilly. Okay, go to sleep. Go to your room. No, go. I got 2 boys here, Dilly. Let's go. I got a surprise for you. Come here. I told you what the surprise is. Here, say hi to everybody.
Hello.
You know what the surprise is?
No.
When did Venom come out?
Tomorrow.
It was supposed to come out on your birthday, but it comes out when?
Tomorrow.
What are we gonna do tomorrow?
Go watch.
Okay, say good night and go to sleep.
Good night.
Say good night to everybody.
Good night.
Okay, come on, go. Both of you guys, let's go. Go to sleep. And if you guys behave, Saturday night we're sleeping in the club room. Go. You could. I told you yes already. All right, I'm back with you.
Oh, and by the way, for everybody in the chat, you know, the comments are flying by, and I've got a guest, so I'm paying attention with the guests. A little bit later on, we'll let you talk in the chat more. I'll answer questions. I'll bring up topics, the whole bit. So just want to you know, don't think I'm ignoring you guys there.
Yeah, so I was saying the Mickey Mantle card. I think that Mickey, you know, whether the 3 guys sell it or not, whether they don't sell it, it's a special card. It's a beautiful card.
Yep.
They're all lucky to have it, and if it stays in a family, fantastic. If they decide to sell it, you know, hopefully the next person is going to be somebody that's going to appreciate it just as much as the 3 that currently own it.
Yep. Tremendous. So what do you you had mentioned that you were talking to some financial people about our business, right? I mean, that's obviously your background. So what do you see? What do you tell them about this market?
You know, it's so funny. I'm in Greenwich, and I'm meeting these 6 private equity firms, and we're sitting down, we're having conversations together at that one hotel. I forget, Delamar, I think is the hotel's name. It's you probably know the Delamar Hotel with that restaurant right next to that's got that gazpacho, which, oh my God, I'm still thinking about that till today. But I'm talking to these 6 private equity guys, and each of them, you know, they have anywhere between 2 billion up to 160 billion. One of them being one of the 5 biggest in the world. People, you know who these names are. Yep. And so, you know, afterwards, everybody you talk to, you go have dinner, right? Or you go have lunch, or you're sitting down talking to them. And I indirectly just bring up cards and just trying to see what direction everybody's going to go to.
Yep.
You know what's crazy? Almost every single time, one of the three people from each PE firm was a card collector when they were younger.
Yep.
So I said, so what do you think about it? And he said, oh, and they always brag about that one card that they have. You know, I got this card, you know, I got the, you know, such and such card. I got this card. I got that. I'm like, so cool. I said, so what do you think about the industry? What's going on? Almost every one of them said, you know, there's talks right now where people are trying to start a fund just for collecting. You know, there's talks right. So it's not like they're not even talking about it. They're simply sitting there because what is the job of a private equity guy? Private equity guy that's sitting there, he's taking somebody's money and they go, you know, get access to $500 million or $1 billion or $2 billion. And the investors are expecting that guy that's running that PE firm to make some good returns on that money.
Yep.
So if you gave this guy $100 million of your money, his job is to go find something. So let's just say that guy takes that $100 million and he goes buys, you know, $30 million worth of cards, and they sit on.
We're dying to find out what happens when they sit on it. We just lost him for a second. He may not know it. Oh, he's doing this intentionally just to hold us in suspense. How do you hold the internet in suspense? You freeze the internet on all of us when he's giving us the punchline. Oh, okay. I'll get him back. Hold on. Let me get him back here. Okay, here we go. Okay, I'll get him back. Hopefully I'll get him back. Let me send him a text and let him know. Text. Patrick. You dropped. Sorry, everybody. He will be back in a second. Let me check. So after Patrick, we've got Jeff Wilson, the sports card investor. We have Laura. It's going to be a late night. It's going to be a very late night, so you can hang around late and whatnot. Okay. So let me see what we got. Patrick, send request. Great. Okay. So I sent him another request. Hopefully he can get back on. But for those just watching, including my daughter Laura, this is the new studio in the basement. So I no longer have to worry about being in my office. Let me try this again. Let me send it again. Sending the request. Okay. Let's see what's going on here. I am trying to get him in. Nope. Let's see. Okay. Trying to get you on. We'll just hang out for a minute. Hopefully the internet is not, and I'll tell you what, while we're waiting, there you go. There you go. It says Patrick Bet David is unable to join. Let me just call. Let's see who requested. Yeah, no, it says what you want to do is let me send your request because I saw your, so let me send your request. Hold on, let me go Patrick. Sending it. Okay, I sent it right now. Okay. Yep. There we go. We're back.
For me,
I hear you now. Yes.
my apologies. I ran out of batteries, and I just found the pack. So I'm with you. I typically run out of batteries a couple times a day. So
okay. So you were on a roll, and we were waiting for the punchline, and you died.
yeah, and the punchline is the fact that, you know, for everybody that we know now that is getting in, there's probably another 100 guys that are working on a project that we're not going to hear about for another 6, 12, 18 months.
Yep.
Okay. So I don't think this is like, it's too late, you know, oh my gosh, am I too late to do this? Too late to do that? Most people have thought about that many, many times. This is not the too late era right now. This, again, when it comes down to non-duplicatable assets, it's very unlikely for you to lose. Historically, non-duplicatable assets don't lose money.
Yep.
That's all there is to it. There is non-duplicatable assets don't lose money. You have something that is non-duplicatable, you're probably not going to lose money on it. It's a basic rule for me. So if I know, you know what they say in Florida, you've come to Florida, you looked at the houses in Highland Beach or, you know, in Hillsborough and all those houses. You know what the realtors will always say? Says, you know how many houses are here? Hundreds of thousands of houses. But there's only limited amount of houses on the water and intercoastal.
Yep.
So you can't build more houses on the water.
Yep.
Make sense? That's what you call a non-duplicatable asset. Doesn't matter if the market crashes. Doesn't matter what happens. Doesn't matter if regular homes take a hit. A house on the water is always going to be in demand. So if you own the right cards of the right players, these PE guys who have money are going to come in and they're going to use some of those basic strategies and they're going to get those nice returns for themselves. And everyone's going to say, wait a minute, I used to think that card was worth this much. Well, now it's worth a lot more. You should have bought it at whatever the price was at that point. So that story's not going away because these guys are getting warmed up to get in.
Yeah. And for those who somebody asked, you know, how can it be non-duplicatable by printing more cards? What we're referring to is going back to a moment in time. You can't go back in a time machine and get Mickey Mantle rookies from 1951 or 52.
Right.
You can't go back to 1996 and get Kobe Bryant. You can't go back to 2003 and get LeBron. You can't go back to 2009 and get Trout, 2018 and 19 and get Vlad, Acuna, Wander Franco, everybody, Juan Soto, everybody else, okay? So that's, you were 1979 against Gretzky, 1985 Lemieux. You can't go back to 2002 and 3 and get Ronaldo and Messi and that's what we're talking about, is that when the production year is done, and then you also have to look at that, like, let's face it, 2019, 2020 basketball was made in greater quantity than almost any other year in the history of the planet for basketball because the cards, you know, because Zion was so popular. So you look at that and you go back further and those are the guys you get. And when you look at players like Zion and John Morant, you can't get the cards they made 500,000 of. You get the cards that, you know, as Patrick did, he found a Zion 1 of 5. And that's what he grabbed because the card was numbered, it was limited, it was unique. You knew exactly how many were printed. So when you deal in the vintage, okay, when you deal in the vintage product, you know, you can do what I do, which is more of like a shotgun approach and just buy the sealed product, okay? As well as, you know, I buy sets, I buy players, but you know, but you could take that approach in vintage because, you know, they're all pretty much for high condition, they're all rare, but in modern, you have to buy the limited cards. The 86 Jordan is really an anomaly because the card, there are so many out there. But worldwide, Jordan is so incredibly popular that it can sustain the fact that there's a couple 100,000 of his rookie cards out there in varying grades from 1 to 10 to ungraded.
Well, if you think about it, that what are the Jordan rookie card PSA 10 selling for right now?
Right now, it ranges. I saw somebody actually sold a group of 14 of them on eBay for about the price shows $500,000 a card, $7 million. That's been at $500 a card. That has been higher than they've been trending. You know, typically they've been closer to the $300,000 range in the past couple months. Early in the year, they were much higher. And then everybody who had one went to sell it. And of course, you know, it's kind of like demand meets supply, and then they drifted down. But, you know, yeah, it's still several $100,000 card.
So let's just, and there's 330 of them, right? Give or take.
About 300, I think, let's say approximately 330 of the 10, of the PSA 10.
Of the 10, yeah.
Yes.
So if you do the math, and let's just go on to 300. 330 times 300,000 is $100 million, right? That's like saying if there was only 4 Michael Jordan 86 Fleer PSA 10 and they didn't make that many prints, each card would be worth 25 million.
Yeah.
That's kind of how to look at it, right? Each card would be worth 25 million.
Yep.
And you're talking about Michael Jordan being, you know, everybody calls him like Mike Trout could be the Michael Jordan of baseball, or who's the Michael Jordan of baseball? So Michael is like probably the most famous athlete worldwide. I mean, obviously nowadays it's going to be Ronaldo, it's going to be Messi, because soccer is seen in a different way than it is. But if you put him in that realm, Michael's one of the first guys that you went anywhere, people knew who Michael was. It doesn't matter if you were Iran, Japan, China, all that stuff. So $100 million for 330 PSA 10 Michael Jordan rookie cards.
Well, 300, somebody gave us
330, yeah.
The exact pop is 316.
Yeah, I can actually see that. That's not to me like, it's not staggering. That makes sense to me. That makes sense that his 330 cards would be worth $100 million.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean,
imagine if somebody owns all those 330. Oh my gosh. That's when you know somebody likes playing the game of Monopoly.
Exactly. Well, we're learning somebody today that likes playing the game of Monopoly with cards. That's for another discussion. So anything else you want to hit? Anything else you want to talk about before?
I think maybe from your end, like if I'm asking you, give me a perspective, if you don't mind, on what is the different mindset of somebody that's buying an individual card from the vintage cards from back in the days versus the risk of buying a player that's coming up that everybody's excited about, like Joe Burrow. Oh my gosh, this guy could. What if Joe becomes XYZ? What if Mac becomes XYZ? What if Zion becomes XYZ? What if Ja Morant? But what if Ja gets hurt and Ja becomes the next Derrick Rose? The high and the risk, like, the newer era being more like the small cap stock versus the old era being the large cap. They're not really going to explode, but at the same time, it's steady return you're going to get versus buying these wax, 1986 Fleer, what's the value of me buying that? How high can that go? If you don't mind, given that 3 different things, I'd want to know myself from you.
Sure. So basically, somebody buying vintage is typically an older collector, somebody who wants something that is incredibly rare, incredibly unique. They want to own the best of the best. They are not looking to make 300% in a month. Okay. Now let's face it, people who bought Shohei Ohtani prior to the start of this baseball season, or Vladimir Guerrero Jr. prior to the start of this baseball season, many of them have 10x'd, some of them have 20x'd, okay? And people talking about, you're talking about expensive cards, you're talking this, guess what? If you bought an Ohtani card or a Vlad card for $500 going into this year, I bet you have a card right now that is currently worth between $2,500 and $7,500, depending on the card you bought. So there is something for every price points. Patrick and I may talk about, because it's fun, it's unique to talk about a $25 million card or a $500,000 card, but the same principle applies whether you're putting $100 into a card or $100,000 into a card. So I think people who are looking for, again, this is a strict investor, somebody who is looking for less of a rocky ride, a lower beta, which if you're not in the stock market, that means it's going to the highs to the lows, or not going to be as many peaks and valleys. It's going to be more steady. Okay. Somebody like that is going to buy, vintage cards. They're going to buy guys that are only retired. They're going to buy the GOATs. They're going to buy Jordan in basketball, LeBron fits in that category. I would put LeBron in that category because if he doesn't win another championship, he's not going to crash. Tom Brady is in that category.
Totally agree.
Jackie Robinson, Babe Ruth. These are the type of players. So they buy players like that, and they know that as the market increases, they're going to increase. Now, occasionally something comes along, the market goes crazy, and like a 52 Topps Mickey Mantle literally in a PSA 8 has 4x from last year to this year, which is very unusual in the vintage market. But basically what they're looking for is they want a good steady return, significantly better than the S&P 500, but they don't want to have a risk where the card could drop 30% or 80%. Now, then you have people who are modern cards, and I will put modern cards. Let's talk about the modern players that are played less than 5 years, okay? For example, a lot of people bought Joe Burrow last year, and then he got hurt, okay? And his card got demolished. Absolutely, absolutely demolished, okay? And that is what can happen with, and then you've got people who buy cards because a player's streaky, like Tyler Hero. Anybody who bought Tyler Hero because he had a great playoff in the bubble, they got killed as well. But people who buy the younger players, one is they're younger, they're into sports betting, they probably have some crypto or buy and sell crypto, or at least follow the market. And if they play the stock, they probably play micro cap stocks because they want to be able to hit the jackpot and buy something for $1,000 and have it go to $25,000. And if you get the right players, it can happen. I personally, I would buy Zion, I would buy Luka, I would buy Vlad Jr., I would buy Soto, I would buy Acuna. Those would be the guys. Juan DeFranco in baseball looks like an absolute beast. I mean, unbelievable. But when you buy them before they play a game, that's when it's risky. And when you put a price on a card for somebody like a multi-million-dollar card, and you put a price on a card that is similar in basketball, let's say to a LeBron James card, but this player has played less than 3 years, and you're paying $2 to $4 million for that card, you are buying a lot of future growth, and you better make sure he stays out of trouble, doesn't get caught with drugs, doesn't do any illegal performance, isn't in a scandal, and doesn't have an injury that has a miss over a year. And as far as wax, this is my premise on the wax, okay? The biggest thing that happened, I think, in our industry pre-COVID was the onset of breakers. Breakers, there are some people that do not like breaking, and there are some people that do not understand it and poo-poo the breakers. I love it. I think it is entertaining. I think it's exciting. I think it's very social. It's social interaction. I think it's our form of sports gambling. I think it allows people to spend who can't buy a box for $1,000 to put in $50 or $200, or maybe can't buy a box for $2,500 to put in $100 or $300 or $500 and get a chance to get a $50,000 card or a $1 million card. What else I love about it? It's drama and it's exciting. Okay, people in so many other walks of life, they are jealous. Somebody hits the lottery, it should have been me. Okay, somebody got a promotion, it shouldn't have been me. It should have been me. Let's face it, if you are in a break room, if you're watching a video, and even if you're not into, especially if you don't have any money in it, you want to see somebody, if they're breaking NT, you want to see them pull the mellow. You want to see them pull it.
It's so true.
My premise is this, is that cards are going to continue to be open. The population of graded cards will always increase no matter what. It's just impossible for it not to increase because more people will submit. The population of new cards is going to increase as they create more. However, every single day, let me just lower Just make sure this is not my wife telling me she hears me. She's a regular on the show because I have the door open because it is she's a regular on the show because she says I'm too noisy, but now I'm in my basement, but I have the door open for the air. So a 96 Chrome box, okay, with Kobe rookies. I pulled a Kobe refractor out of a top box of this one of these by Finest, okay? You can't go back and create that. 86 Fleer with Jordan and Barkley and Akeem and Karl Malone. 80 basketball with Magic and Bird rookies. These are things that can't be duplicated. So my thesis is that as people want to open up product in the future, those are going to be the holy grails that people want to open. Like if you had a 52 tops box, like if you had a 52 high number box, it would be $25 million. So, and no, I don't know of any that exists. I don't know of any 52 boxes that exist.
I was about to ask you. I'm going to say
I know,
if it is.
I saw that face. So my premise and my personal investment thesis is that over time, product like this is going to become more and more valuable because, you know, honestly, literally, there might come a day where I can sell online tickets, okay, for people to watch this box being opened, okay? You never know. I mean, people pay for esports, right? They fill up stadiums to watch people play video games. So that's what you know. That's my premise, and that's what I like about the sealed wax. And it doesn't have to be the $200,000 boxes or the $25,000 boxes. It literally, you know, other boxes, you know, I like, you know, I think. So I think Bryce Harper's undervalued. So go out right now. You want the steal the century? Go out and buy 2011 seal boxes, seal Bowman, because Bryce Harper is in there. So that's why I like the wax boxes, and that's why I you know, and the other thing is you never know when I'm going to give everybody a thrill and just say, hey, here's an A6 Chrome. Let's just take this. Let's slice it open. Let's get live right now. So it's a form of entertainment. It's a collectible. I think they display nice, and hey, wouldn't you love to have a 1958 Topps wax box?
Tell me that's not it.
That is a 1958 Topps wax box. Yes, it is.
Get out of here.
No, I'm dead serious. It is a 1958 Topps baseball wax box. Unfortunately for me, there are no packs in it, but it is a 58 Topps wax box.
Got it. You know, I was going to say, how about if you're where are you? You're not in Florida, and I keep thinking you're in Florida.
I'm in New Jersey right now.
Okay.
Yeah.
How about the next time you're down here, let's pick 3 boxes, okay? Let's pick, and go tiers. Let's pick like a $10,000 box. Let's pick a $50,000 box, and let's pick a $150,000 box. And you come out, and we'll go live on the podcast, and we'll go a long 3-hour podcast, and we'll gradually work it up, work our way up, and we'll take one of the cards each time we open up a box, one of the better cards that we pull. Maybe we'll do a giveaway, and we'll give it away to the audience to get. But if you can find a 86 Fleer, what are they going for right now? 140? Is it $140,000 box?
Probably getting closer to 200, I would guess.
Really?
Yeah, but there's a lot of good boxes we can get. I mean, you can get 80 basketball with Bird Magic rookies in there. You can get, or we can go crazy and do that, or we can try and find one that is not as perfect condition as some of the other ones. It really depends. You know, the key with all of them is this magical BBCE right up on the back that tells you, you know, is it an original box? Is it searched? Is it in the original order? So, you know, that's really, you know, some of them have, like right now, actually, we don't have it now. I was about to say it's at Golden right now. It's not at Golden right now. It's coming up in Golden Elite opening next week. But I've got an 86 Fleer box with 4 Jordan rookie stickers showing through in the packs. The BBC looks at that and they evaluate it and they say, "Oh, you've got 4 Jordan rookie stickers in that box," which is great. But yeah, I will be game to go down to Florida, be on your podcast, do it in person, and educate your audience, and like we're doing with mine tonight, and bust open some boxes, see what we get, and do some giveaways.
Let's. I think it'd be a lot of fun.
Sounds great. I'm definitely down for it.
All good. I look forward to it.
Thank you so much, Patrick.
Appreciate you for having me on, buddy.
Thank you for joining us.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Good night. Okay, so Jeff, I'm going to look for you now. And again, for those of you just joining, this is the Thursday. One of these days, I'll come up with a name for the show. Just saying Thursday night in Instagram Live. This is, for those of you who don't recognize the backdrop, this is my new, we built out my a room in my basement so I can do this. I even have studio lights, which I'm not going to use because they will be way too bright. But let me put them back in the shelf so we get the ambiance, and then I will get Jeff on. Okay. Jeff should be on in a second. There he is.
Dan, how you doing, man?
I'm doing great, Jeff. How you doing?
Good. So first of all, I got to tell you what you got to do with your lights here. Let me show you here.
Okay.
This is our new studio. So watch this. We got this all Alexa hooked up. I got to make sure I'm doing this right. We're gonna try this live for the first time.
Okay.
All right, Alexa, turn on first set.
Oh,
Look at that.
very nice.
There you go. You got to get yourself all hooked up there. Get Alexa going.
It's great. That is awesome.
It's good to see you. I would totally love to be part of that box break, by the way.
Okay.
Count me in for chipping in there on those boxes. That would make tremendous content, as you know.
You know what I should do? I should just say, hey, whoever pulls the best cards, the loser pays. This way I know I'll win.
There you go. Oh, I'm sure all of the boxes would be purchased from Golden, so I think you're going to win no matter what, Ken.
There you go. Cool.
That was a good conversation. I was happy to hear all of that.
Me too. Again, the great thing about these, I don't know. I guess 6 weeks ago I decided to do it. Is we're talking about the news. I guess it was late August, and I did the first one, and I said, I want to get people from every different walk of the hobby. Basically, people who I may not have met in person, people who everybody knows but may not know their backstory, people who to just give everybody an opportunity, give everybody a platform, and give, quite frankly, the whole hobby a platform to talk about all the different areas of the hobby, all the different aspects of the hobby. And we were at the National, we were talking about people who are well known in the hobby and faces of the hobby, and we were together, and it was like crazy around the booth. So for those of you, again, there may be some people in here who do not know your story. So tell me how you got into the hobby and what you did before that. I know it, but just let's go through it.
Yeah, like so many people watching, I was a huge collector as a kid. I really cut my teeth with entrepreneurship, buying and selling and trading baseball cards when I was a kid. My first job ever, I should say, was at a local card shop in Sarasota, Florida, when I was 14 years old back in the 1990s. So I just absolutely loved it. And then, like many people, I lost touch with it for a long, long time and got back into it about 4 years ago. And right away, I just saw incredible potential. I saw incredible potential in the hobby. I saw so much had changed since when I was a kid. I mean, as you know, everything from the grading to the liquidity, there was just so much. It was so much better now. The cards better produced, and the scarcity of certain types of products. And so I instantly saw investment potential, and I instantly saw business potential. I came up with, being an entrepreneur, I started 13 different businesses. I came up with a list of probably 10 or 12 business ideas, product ideas that I wanted to launch right away. But I said, let me first validate the market. Let me first make sure that there are people out there that want to think about sports cards the way that I'm thinking about sports cards, which is as an investment opportunity, as a business opportunity, and as collecting as well. I love the collecting aspect too. I'm a firm believer you can be both an investor and a collector, because I am that very, very much so. But I decided I was going to start with my YouTube show because I figured that if people subscribe to the content, if they wanted to watch my show, if they wanted to hear discussion about cards from an investing standpoint, then that would validate the market. And then that would give me the platform as well as I build products to be able to have an audience that would be interested in those products. And so I launched the YouTube show just over 2 years ago, and it's gone awesome. I mean, you know, on YouTube, we've got close to 120,000 subscribers, over 10 million total video views, which is really cool. We just eclipsed 10 million total video views on YouTube. And then, you know, between our social accounts and our email and all that stuff, another hundreds of thousands more. So, you know, it's been awesome building that audience and getting to interact with so many incredible people in this hobby.
I mean, because I have to tell you, sometimes I can be in my own little world, and I knew, well, everybody else out there might have known you from the YouTube stuff. I initially knew you because I kept seeing your name in my auction. So I go, oh, he's buying. So how do you personally, when you personally buy, how do you decide what you're going to buy?
That's a great question. So, you know, so I buy two types of cards. So some cards I buy strictly for personal collection, where I'm really buying the card because I love it, or because it's a complete set that I want to buy, that I want to complete, something of that nature. But the majority of cards that I buy because I feel like, hey, this card's going to go up in value. This card's a good investment. And some of them short term, some of them long term. What I like to do is I like to look at where people are not paying a whole lot of attention to at that very moment in time, right? I think that as everybody's glommed on to a particular sport or a particular type of card or a particular player, your window is often depleted to, you know, jump in and make money. In fact, if you jump in and make money, or if you jump in, you oftentimes won't make money. You're kind of reacting to, you know, the fear of missing out, FOMO. And sometimes you get in kind of at a peak point, and then things maybe start to go down on the other side. So I like to look elsewhere. A couple of years ago, it was a lot easier because you could buy pretty much anything. But, you know, it was there was, like, for example, in 2020, modern cards were super hot for a lot of 2020. And I started buying up a lot of older cards. I started buying up a lot of, you know, 80s cards, 90s cards. Not super vintage. The super vintage stuff, while I think it can be an excellent investment, as you said earlier, like no one's ever lost money buying the Mickey Mantle or the Hannes Wagner cards. Those personally don't appeal to me as much, just because I wasn't around during that era. I never got a chance to see Mickey Mantle play. So, you know, 80s basketball, I love 80s basketball. You know, and really 80s football as well. I love 80s. So I was buying 80s cards. I was buying 90s cards when a lot of people were focused on ultra modern back in 2020. Then you started to see things really reverse. And in the first half of this year, all of the focus was on the iconic cards. You know, everyone wanted all the iconic cards. And I felt like people started ignoring ultra modern a little bit too much. So I started buying up some ultra modern this year. So I've kind of oscillated back and forth, kind of going a little contrary to the market, looking for other sport opportunities too. Like I was, honestly, this sounds crazy, but the probably mathematically the best investment I have made in sports cards was buying cases of 2017 and 2018 and 2019 Topps Chrome UFC cards.
Oh, wow.
In early 2020. Those things have gone up like 20x from what I paid for them. I was buying them on blowout cards. In fact, I bought so many of them that actually Tom Fish called me and was like, what's going on with all these you know, orders of UFC cases that you're buying, you know? And I'm like, Fish, I think it's going to be a thing, man. And I got to give credit. I had a guy on my sports card investor team here who's like an absolute UFC nut. And he kept saying to me, he's like, UFC cards are so low printed. He's like, I think UFC cards are going to become a big thing in the future. Like these boxes are next to nothing. They're dirt cheap. no one's paying attention to UFC cards. He's like, you should really scoop some up. So I scooped a bunch up. I scooped up some Conor McGregor auto cards from like I think it was 2013. And you know, stuff like that. And that stuff's actually gone bananas. Soccer's gone bananas, as you know, as well. And so it's harder now to find that next thing, but I'm continuing to kind of look, you know, in different areas.
Cool. So tell me again, for the few people out there who don't know, tell me about your app and what you do and how that works.
Yeah, so we built two products. I'm really proud of both of them. We've got a free app called Sports Card Investor. It's the Sports Card Investor app in the App Store. And it is a completely free price guide for anyone who wants to look up the price of cards. We've got by far the largest database of cards that we're tracking of anybody in the sports card hobby. Over 300,000 cards are being updated with price data every single day. And that app is free, and it gives you recent sales, a chart of the last 30 days, etc. It's also a really nice shopping experience, you know, for shopping for lower end cards, not the super high end stuff at your auctions, but lower end stuff. And then we've got Market Movers, and Market Movers is our product, and that is with incredibly deep analytics for people who really dive in. So people who are investing in sports cards seriously, and they want to see the daily price moves of their collection, and they want to look at charts and graphs and compare cards to one another and look for opportunities in the marketplace. Market Movers is a paid service, both an app and a website that people can subscribe to.
Terrific. And it's I know Market Movers is extremely popular, right? I mean, your app is a lot of downloads, right?
Our Sports Card Investor app has by far the most downloads of any app in the hobby. People totally free. People seem to really like it. And then Market Movers, we've got a bunch of paid subscribers for Market Movers. Very, very thankful for that. I mean, and you know, we continue the money that we get from those products. We continue to reinvest to make them better. And ultimately, my mission with those products is to bring transparency to sports card data. And before Market Movers came out in early last year, it was extremely difficult to understand the price movements of sports cards. Your only real source of data was to go on eBay and look at sold items, but that was a very tedious process. You could do that on a card by card basis, but you could not do it at scale. You could not chart several cards against each other. You could not look across 50 LeBron cards or 500 LeBron cards at a time. It was extremely tedious. And I was frustrated by it. And I was like, if I'm frustrated by this, other people must be frustrated by this as well. And so I've got to build a solution. And that's what I went out and did.
Tremendous. I mean, it's all these things are just, you know, I've played around with a bit, and I remember we were doing our break, and everything was, you know, even these cards most people never heard of, there was some history in there in the Market Movers as far as the pricing. We're looking to we've got to get some pricing. Both PSA's got to get some pricing, and Golden's got to get some pricing in our new platform. And just because it's always good to give everybody the tools without. I mean, think about it. I don't want someone to leave my website and have to go look something up, you know, to make a buying decision. You always want as much information as possible. So, you know, all of these apps that can integrate everything without having to look in 25 different places, you know, try and search past sales on eBay, and then eBay only has eBay sales, and somebody else only has their sales, and they don't have Golden sales, and they don't have, you know, Heritage sales, you know, and which are obviously, you know, extremely important to get a well-rounded picture of what's going on with the marketplace. So
it is, and we're working on adding in more data sources into our data, because you're right, it's very important. And I think the overall goal here of what you're talking about and what we're trying to do is just to be as transparent as possible, and to allow everybody to have as much access to data as possible, because what that does is that makes the landscape more fair for everybody. That makes it less likely that somebody's going to get ripped off, that somebody's going to for a card that somebody's going to get a bad deal. And we don't want that to happen. We want people to come into the hobby and it to be easy for them to understand the price history and value of something and then to make a fair offer. Just like right now, real estate, if you're going to go make an offer on a house down the street, you've got very sophisticated tools like Zillow, that can, do computational values. You can go look at the price history. You can go look at comps of what other houses have sold for all around that house with similar square footage. The more that can be transparent, the better quality of tools in the hobby, the better it is.
So let me address a couple. I'm going to hit quick fire a couple things I've seen scroll by that people with a lot of emphasis on. Will you ever? I'll hit them all. First of all, for anybody saying, hey, talking about you want to get on the live, the best way to do it is really to email me, ken@goldenauctions.com. You can DM me, but I can't really forward my DMs to my assistant or anybody else. And as you can imagine, I get a lot of DMs, but ken@goldenauctions.com if you've got a good suggestion for this, or if you want to have somebody get on, let me know why. But so hit me up directly. But a couple of the key questions I've been getting that I've been watching watching the two number one things are people want to know, will there ever be a time when you do non-sports like Marvel and Pokemon? Those are the two big names I keep seeing scroll across, Marvel and Pokemon.
Yeah, 100%, 1,000% actually. And
Okay.
I can't fully talk about it, but I want everybody to know, like, we are at Sports Card, and our vision, my vision for what we're doing here, sports cards is always going to remain extremely central. It's always going to be a big part of the focus. However, I really believe in the alternative asset class of collectibles in general, and collectibles goes beyond sports cards. And this last auction that you guys did at Golden was your first auction doing trading card games, and where it was the focal point of the auction, video games. You guys had a ton of really high-end video games there. Those are legitimate asset classes. Those are legitimate collectible classes, just like sports cards are. I think over time, you're going to see more and more people who are sports card investors dabble in some of these other asset classes, just as you're going to see comic book investors, and we've already seen dabble in sports cards. You've seen the sneaker guys come into sports cards. And so ultimately, I think that type of data, that type of transparency, amazing. Look at that. That is amazing. But yeah, ultimately, I think that data and transparency needs to be there for every type of collectible, every type of alternative asset class. And that's our mission, right? So while we will always be very core on sports cards, you're going to see us make big moves in trading card games and in other forms of collectibles in the not so distant future.
Okay. I want to talk a bit about the Fanatics news. Before I did that, I know you mentioned there's a couple things that you might want to ask me, so I'll give you the opportunity before we get into the serious business of what's going on in our world right now.
So I'm tremendously curious, Ken, with so many amazing things that come across your desk every single day, how do you, first of all, how do you resist not buying up half of every single one of your auctions? But second of all, how do you decide what to buy, or do you not buy that much stuff right now because you just have so much exposure to it anyway, and getting to hold it and see it when it comes through?
So I still buy. My last couple bills at a couple other auction houses, Heritage and REA can certainly attest to that. A couple things that I have bought recently. I have bought probably 20 football boxes between 1981 Topps football, 1984 Topps football, 1986 Topps football. Again, going with my thesis that people are going to want to rip open and find Joe Montana rookies, John Elway rookies, Dan Marino rookies, and Jerry Rice rookies. I always buy 96 basketball and 2003 basketball sealed whenever I can find it. I recently bought if you saw the auction house, I bought the 57 Topps registry set that was available, missing Mickey Mantle and a couple others, and I bought the Mantle out of a set. I bought a 52 Bowman set, and what I try and do is, I have a wide breadth of a collection that I will that I'll buy. I'll give myself a wide arena. I'm not like I only buy Luka Doncic cards, okay? Or I only buy Zion cards, or I only buy Mike Trout. You know, I will give myself a wide breadth. One of the lucky things that I did is late last year and early this year, I thought that I saw what was going on in comic books, and I spent a good bit of my personal money buying some bigger books like Avengers #1, X-Men #1, Amazing Fantasy 15, Spider-Man #1, and just putting them away, and they went up. I did not buy any video games. I don't own any video games. I was late to that party. It was already a thing before I knew about it. But personally, you know, most of you know, I try and buy when I think something is great and other people gave up. Like I was out there buying Zion in May through July of this year because he performed at such a high level all season long, but his cards just kept drifting down. Okay, and I didn't go out and buy 100 base prism 100 base prism PSA 10 cards, but I tried to buy unique cards, every one that's numbered, every one that's limited, and that's what I try and do with the modern cards. My best ever buys, however, really were before this was a business. The one buy I remember when I was probably 15, an older gentleman came to me because I used to set up and with cash at a hotel and put in the local ad in the paper and say, bring me cards. 900 T206 cards. Every single one of them. Now, people know of Sweet Capital, they know of Piedmont, some of the other backs, Old Mill. Well, Polar Bear is the scrap tobacco, and it's got a navy blue background, really, really dark. So the cards chipped easily. But this guy, every single one of his 900 cards was a Polar Bear back.
Wow.
There were probably 11 T206 Ty Cobbs in that group. And there was a unique rarity called Demet and O'Hare. And that rarity was, like 3 or 4 of them, like probably most of the cards that are in the marketplace today came from that one buy I made when I was a kid. Another amazing one is, I can't imagine how much it would be worth today, but somebody was tearing down a office building and found at the upper end of the building, the attic of the building, cases and cases and cases of 1951 Topps Redback. They were stored there. So, and that also was was when I was a teenager. But I spend a ton of time looking at, some people say, I'm going to move up a little closer, maybe. Somebody said a little tough time hearing me. So I spent a ton of time looking at any place that sells product that is not a fixed price. Okay? So I will look at everybody's auctions and, especially these auctions that are, 3,000 lots, and I'll try and find, because guess what? Some stuff is going to go amazing, and some stuff is just going to go under. It just is. It's just the nature of it. No matter where it is, that's what's going to happen. So I try and find unique buys that I think people miss. And I will go out, and if I see the last 3, and I'm a great underbidder, okay? All these big auction houses, if they lost my bids, I don't know what would happen. But so I will go out and I will bid until I think, okay, I'm getting a good buy, but it's still under fair market. If I lose it, I lose it. So I am constantly, constantly looking for stuff, and some of it, I buy for 3 reasons. Number one is to collect. Like for example, these, I've got a complete set of the Sporting Life cabinets. What the hell is it? What the hell? It is, I'll show you. So the 1911 Sporting Life cabinet. I actually own 2 sets of these.
Hmm.
It's Ty Cobb, Honus Wagner, Christy Mathewson, Cy Young, and 5th guy Hal Chase. So you can't go wrong with that set. So so I own 2 of them because I like the card. I've got an 1888. I'll show you. This is one of my favorite cards. One day I'll get a PSA 10. It's a PSA 9 because I grew up, Carlton was my favorite player.
Hmm.
But this is an 1888 Holes cabinet of the championship New York Ball Club. It had 7 Hall of Famers on it. I looked at it, and the last time one sold was $66,000. And I'm looking at this thing, and it's like 18 grand. So I just threw in a max bid and woke up and I won it. So for less than half the price it went. So I've got a wide breadth of knowledge of between cards, memorabilia, and autographs. So I'll buy it. If it's cool, I buy it for my collection. Some stuff I buy for investment, for the purpose of, hey, I want to buy it. If it goes up, I want to sell it. And other things I buy to put away for Paul. Paul has may have one of the best Bryce Harper collections in the world because he's a Phillies fan. Okay, so it's always, obviously he doesn't care about the vintage stuff, but it's all the young guys, and so I put a collection together for him. And those are the 3 types of things that I will buy. When I buy for myself, I can buy anything. I can buy a platinum album of Nirvana, Nevermind. I can buy a Batman #1. I can buy a 27 Yankees ball. I can buy an 86 Fleer box. I can buy a Zion Williamson card. Anything I'll buy.
All right, so you mentioned the Nirvana album. Do you think that one area of collectibles that's not being paid attention to is vinyl records? There's no grading of them. There's no authentication of them.
Yes.
Am I touching on something?
Yeah, I do think that is a marketplace in the future.
I do too.
And I think that there will be some solutions to that in the future as well.
Oh boy. I think we're okay. I won't ask prying questions about that, but I feel like we're breaking some news here on this live stream. Interesting. Yep. Okay. Yes, I think that's great because I think vinyl records. I mean, another part of history, something so incredibly collectible, and also something so artistic. Like one reason I love the comic books, and I love the wave of comic books, is because they're so beautiful to display. They're a large piece of art. They're captivating. Even people who aren't into comic books are drawn to look at the cover of these old comic books.
Yep.
Vinyl records are even more